Hello there, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. Please like, share and comment on this video. Also, this is saying a very big thank you once again to all our subscribers for your support and encouragement. Now, if it's your first time here or if you have been here before and not yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and become part of the family. That way you'll never miss any of our videos. Today, I'll be showing you how to draft a perfect fit t-shirt dress using the knit blocks. In my previous videos, I showed you how to draft the knit or stretch bodice and sleeve blocks, and after that, how to transfer them on pattern cards. So if you do not have your knit blocks as yet, you can use my previous videos on how to draft your knit blocks and also transfer them to pattern card to make yours. Please click the links in the description below to see these videos. To create my pattern for the t-shirt dress, I've got pattern paper. Usually I use pattern tissue, or I could also use wrapping sheet. You can use any paper really, but today I'm using the plain white so you can see it clearly in this video. Then I've got the bodice blocks. In this case I'm using the knit or stretch blocks. So I've got the front, the back and the sleeve. I've got some weights which I will place over to hold it down. I've got ruler, pencil, scissors, notcher and tape measure. The link is given in the description below if you would like to shop some of these items. So here I've cut out the paper for the back, enough for the length and width of the dress. Here is the block and these are the measurements I'm using. So I have enough length to cover the full length of the dress, but I'm going to fold it over for now and then trace out the bodice first. So I'll place the weight over it and I'll go ahead and trace all around it. Make sure to mark the notches. So I line the paper at the edge, so that will be the center back now. Now I've successfully traced out the back. I will open it out and we will now mark the waist to hip measurement next. Usually it's between 8 and 10 inches. So I'm using 8 inches in this case. So I mark that right through. And then I'll go ahead and square out from the center back line like this. So I will now mark quarter of the hip measurement. The hip is 42 inches, so a quarter of that is 10.5 inches. So I'll mark 10.5 inches here. Next, we need to extend to the full length of the dress. So the full length is 37 inches and the back shoulder to waist is 16.25 inches. So we'll use the difference, which is 20.75 inches. So we extend from the waist line by 20.75 inches. So I mark 20.75 inches here and I'll mark that across. Next I will square out from the center back line like this. So this is now our hemline. We will now mark the same distance of the quarter hip measurement of 10.5 inches on this hemline, like this. But then because we want a slight A shape at the hem, we will increase it by 1 inch. You can make it more if you desire. So here I now have 11.5 inches, so 10.5 plus 1 inch. Next I will connect from the hem to the armhole using a meter rule. If you don't have a meter rule, you can always use your shutter ruler. So because I want a band at the hem, I'll go ahead and mark the distance for the band. You can also leave this out if you prefer. So here I'm marking 2 inches for the band, like this. And then I will apply a 1/4 inch seam allowance from the 2 inches mark at the top. So we measure the 1/4 inch for the seam allowance. So I mark it here. Next, we'll make some adjustments at the neck. So we'll increase the width by 1/4 inch. This is totally by choice. You can make it more if you prefer. Then I will redraw the neck curve from the 1/4 inch mark like this. Next, we apply the neck band width of 3/4 inch. You can make it more or less depending on the design of your choice. So I'll go ahead and mark the 3/4 inch all around like this, following the adjusted neckline curve. I draw the neck curve, the neck band curve. Next, we'll go ahead and apply a 1/4 inch seam allowance starting from the marking of the neck band like this. So because I'll be making this dress with a serger, I don't need much seam allowance. And also I don't want it to have unnecessary bulk. So that is it, the neckline seam allowance has been done. I'll go ahead and apply the seam allowance of 1/4 inch all around. Here at the shoulder. And the armhole. And lastly, the side seam allowance. And we are done. I'll go ahead and cut it out now, and the back is ready. So here I'm cutting it out following the seam allowance marking. So that's the back ready. I'll go ahead and label it. So this is the t-shirt dress. And this is the back. Now, instruction is to cut one on fold. So I'm going to go ahead and draw the symbol for that. So whenever you see this symbol, it means to place on fold. So in the same way, I'm creating the front pattern. I'll go ahead and trace all around. So this is the front block. I'll go ahead and place it. Also hold down with my weights. Then I'll go ahead and trace all around it. Remember to mark your notch. Next, I'll make the adjustment to the neck. So I'm increasing the neck depth by 1/2 inch. And then the width by 1/4 inch, just like we did at the back. Then I'll go ahead and redraw the neck curve, connecting the 1/4 inch mark to the 1/2 inch mark. And that is the new neck curve. Next, we draw the neck band outline following the new neck curve. So I'm marking 3/4 inches neck band outline. Next, we mark the waist to hip using the 8 inches like we did at the back. mark the 8 inches all through, starting from the waistline. Then I'll go ahead and square it out from the center front line like this. So on this hip line, I'll mark a quarter of my hip measurement, which is 10.5 inches. So it's 42 inches and a quarter is 10.5 inches. Next, I extend to the full length using the 20 3/4 inches, just like we did at the back. So I'll mark that 20 3/4 inches right through. Now I square out from the center front line like this. And now I have the full length of the dress. Next, I'm going to mark the same quarter hip measurement of 10.5 inches on the hem, just like I have at the hip. So I'm going to mark that same distance on the hem. Then also we'll increase it by 1 inch, just like we did at the back. And now we'll connect from the hem to the armhole like this. So I have the neck reshaped, the neck band as well drawn like so. And then that's the waistline, hip line, and I've got the full length of the dress. Next, I'll mark the 2 inches for the band at the hem. Okay, so I'll mark the 2 inches for the band at the hem, just like we did at the back. So I'll go ahead and mark it now. And also, we'll now mark the 1/4 inch seam allowance, starting from that top mark of the 2 inches. And then I'll go ahead and apply the 1/4 inch seam allowance all through. And then I'll cut it out once I've applied the seam allowance all through. So I label the front as well. We're done. Remember to mark the notches on both the front and back pattern pieces, just like this. So here I'm creating the sleeve pattern. I'll go ahead as well, place the weight and then trace all around it, just like this. Remember to mark the notches while you trace. Make sure also to mark the center line at the wrist and at the top. Now I don't want the sleeve tapered at the wrist. I want it to be about the same width as the top arm. So I'm going to go ahead and make some adjustments. So I mark the crown depth line. And then I'll square down from the top so as to mark the center line. So following the markings I made while tracing it out. So that's my center line now. Then I'll measure from the center line to the side. So here I have 6 inches, and also on the other side I have 6 inches. So I'll mark from the center line at the wrist line and mark the same distance of 6 inches. Do the same on the other side. And next I'll connect this point to the crown depth line. So from the wrist to the crown depth line. So that's it. I will apply the 1/4 inch seam allowance all through. But before then, I'll mark the measurement for the wristband. So I'll be using the same 2 inches that we used on the dress. So I'll mark 2 inches here. And then following on from the top mark of the 2 inches, I'll mark the 1/4 inch seam allowance. So the rest of the length of the sleeve will be completed with the band. Then I'll go ahead and mark the 1/4 inch seam allowance all through. So go ahead and cut it out, and the sleeve pattern is ready. So that's the sleeve completed. I'll label it now. T-shirt dress sleeve, cut 1 pair. I'll go ahead and mark the notches. This is a very important step. So here I have all my pattern pieces complete. And that's what I've used to make the dress. Here is the fabric that I used. I'll now lay the pattern on the fabric. Here are some clips from the cutting process. After cutting out, I went ahead and I used the pieces to sew the dress. So let me know in the comment section if you would like to see a future video of the full process of making a t-shirt dress. And thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.